Folks, welcome to an all new episode of So Bad It's Good. This is your pal Ryan, and this is your Monday episode. This is our pop culture roundup that we do with Sophie Ross every week, where we talk about the best in pop culture, or at least the stuff that we really like. So you got reality shows, you got music, you got movies, you got the internet, all of it covered in one show with two snarky people. How can you lose? We have a timestamp if you want to skip right to that. But before then, we're going to talk about a couple of other things, including what to watch this week and a couple of things that are coming up that I think need to be on your radar. We are inundated with television. I'm not complaining, but you know what? I am kind of complaining because there is just too much good stuff on right now. I am not talking about the Meghan Markle show. So, how are you? Did you have a good weekend? Are you recharged? Are you refreshed? Are you ready to do it all again? I hope you are, and thank you for being here. Over the weekend, we released our final Traitors recap. We recapped the finale and the reunion with our Burgalicious, our Burgie, and let us know. I mean, I really like this guy, and we want to find another competition series to cover. So Survivor, I mean, we're only 2 episodes in. I mean, that's a possibility. Who knows? We also have the UK version of the Traitors. The 3rd season is on Peacock now. I just found that out this week. So I can't wait to dive into that. If you love the Traitors, remember, the celebrity version of the Traitors is great. It's amazing. It's perfect for all of the tastes that we have. But the UK version of the Traitors and different iterations, I think sometimes there's more solid gameplay. If you're watching this show and you're like, I love the game aspect of this, you get a more solid game on some of these other iterations, including the UK one. So highly recommend checking that out on Peacock. But yeah, we did the recap over there, and I have to say, I'm really sad. I'm sad. I mean, that's what, I always say it is so much more fun to love something than it is to hate something. I mean, it's really fun to talk about the things that you hate, but man, it feels good when you really love something. And I love this season of The Traitors. What are you loving right now? What is like, there's so much good stuff on. Severance, of course. Now, we had a very different episode of Severance this week, a 37-minute episode based solely around Patricia Arquette's character that I think really moves the narrative forward, even though a lot of people are saying that they didn't love this episode. But I think it actually fills in some pieces. I don't think it was a filler episode at all. I think it just kind of unravels the mystery a little bit more, which is what good storytelling is supposed to be. Now, me and Sophie recorded this a couple of hours ago, and in that span of time, we had a couple of stories little stories that broke that I want to make you aware of right now. Now, the first one is they are filming The Real Housewives of Orange County presently. They just started a couple of weeks ago. Remember Gretchen Rossi is back as a friend of. We did a story a couple weeks ago that Slade potentially threw a drink on Tamra. Who knows if that was a rumor or if that was just like a hallucination of mine, but that was the rumor. Well, anyways, Tamra Judge, just 20 minutes ago, it's 8:46 on Sunday night, just 20 minutes ago, she posted this to her Instagram stories. A pink background with the verbiage, and this is all capital letters, by the way. When people use all capital letters, you know they mean business. By the way, this podcast, when I talk, just consider that I'm speaking in all capital letters all the time with a lot of exclamation points. Side note, if you text with me, just know I use a lot of exclamation points, and I'm sorry. I was texting with Rachel Lindsay this weekend, who I had the pleasure of being a guest on the Sam Sanders show for KCRW. You can stream the podcast now, and Rachel Lindsay was the other guest, and I was just so excited about it. So go check it out, go support. But I use exclamation points. So Tamra Judge, pink background. This is what she writes. It was a long run! Exclamation point. When life gives you real problems, this reality shit doesn't make sense. Peace out. And then she did the peace out emoji. Emojis, am I right? And then writes, I'm out. Okay, let's walk this through our heads really quickly. Okay, so Tamra, on reality television, very intense. She gets into it. She gets angry. She snaps. She then later usually apologizes or walks it back in terms of her presence that we see on Real Housewives of Orange County. But it makes you wonder, what was this in regards to? Did somebody pull information about her past? Is this finally the Tamra takedown season that a lot of people speculated about? Or is it something deeper? And this is there, I was thinking about this, and what I worried and a very real thought was that I was like, oh my God, I hope Teddy Mellencamp is okay. Obviously, Teddy, just going through these surgeries and saying that, there were more tumors found, I believe, on her lungs, metastasized, and on her brain. And she really has this long road ahead of her. And man, I hope, I'm like, honestly, I hope she beats the shit out of this cancer. F cancer. But part of it was like, is she talking about that, like real problems like that? Because Tamra and Teddy, they are tied together through their podcast, which is very successful. So the dark part of my mind went to that. I'm hoping it's just normal reality BS where it's like Shannon Bedore said something mean, or Gretchen pulled out a photo of me from high school and show, like something ridiculous. But Tamra Judge at this point just put this on her Instagram stories. Let's do the game of seeing how long this remains on her Instagram stories. Will this be, a post and delete? Will this be there in 24 hours? Will this be taken down? What is this in regards to? I'll tell you more on Tuesday's episode of this pod when I find out. Now, the other thing, we do a story. We talk about Jax Taylor a lot and Brittany Cartwright in this episode because Jax did the revelation that he has had a substance abuse issue. Now, I did a whole hour recap of this interview he did with Alex Baskin. And I think we all support him. I think I support anybody that is trying to better their life and admit that they have an issue, right? The problem with being on reality shows for over a decade is that we've seen your pattern of behavior. Now, Brittany Cartwright just posted this a couple of hours ago after I recorded with Sophie. She says, it's official. I can finally announce that moving forward, I'll be taking over when reality hits. That was the shared podcast between her and Jax. She says, full rebrand coming your way very soon. I'm just so thankful for all of your love and support. And this is going to be done through Podcast One. I really love Podcast One. I think they've got some really solid shows over there. My speculation is, of course, Jax will do a spinoff pod. That's probably been in the works for a minute, but Brittany will be taking over when reality hits. And she had a really good episode this past week with her and Kristen Doty, where they spoke about the Jax issue. So I wanted to draw your attention to that. I'm a grown man drawing your attention to that. So let me know if you have any news about any of these items that we just got in. Okay. Now, really quick, this weekend I'm in Arizona. It's been a really nice weekend. I got to go to a music festival with one of my really good buddies, Matt, and we saw some amazing bands that I love. Got to see LCD Sound System. I mean, just a top 10 band for me on Friday night, and that was lovely. My only complaint is at festivals, you get festival set. Like, LCD will play 2.5 hours, but if a festival, they usually have like a limited time, and so they only got like an hour and 15, and I need more from LCD, but they were amazing. It was so fun. And then Saturday, we went back, and we got to see... If you used to listen to this show back in the day when we would do mashups all the time, Girl Talk is one of, if not my favorite mashup DJ of all time. And I always compare this show to a mashup because you get a little bit of everything. You get an interview, you talk reality, we talk prestige television. It goes all over the map because I think me and like a lot of you, our interests are everywhere. They're so varied. There's so much to love. There's so much to talk about. But mashups I love because it takes two different styles and blends them together. And with Girl Talk, you would always make something that was better than the sum of its parts, which says a lot because the songs he's mashing up to me are already incredible. Well, I've been following this dude for God. Has it been 20 years or something? Anyways, he performed, still bringing it. I mean, this guy, maniac. I had a great time. So fun. He did a bunch of new mashups. He doesn't release these albums anymore because I think they're kind of illegal because he doesn't have the rights to use this, but it was so fun. And then after that, I got to see the EDM act Justice. And Justice put on just an amazing, amazing set. The lights were overpowering, the sound was overpowering, and I say that all just as a huge compliment. Also, we pre-gamed. I haven't drank in like 3 weeks and had my first drink on Friday, and we went to this really cool place. It is called, if you live in Arizona, oh, how is this not showing up? It was, hold on one sec. I'm going to find this place. Okay, I found it. It's called Lux Central, Lux 4402 North Central Avenue. If you live in Phoenix, go check this place out. It was cool. I guess it's a coffee shop up front, but then there's like a little bar in the back. And it was this place was just so my speed. They were like projecting Royal Tenenbaums on the screen, and the bartender was so awesome, dude. And he knew everything about music. Made one of the best espresso martinis I've ever had. I felt like I was on Below Deck because that's all they drink on Below Deck is espresso martinis. And it was this guy and girl working behind the bar. And then we ended up talking reality because she was all into reality TV as well. And they saw that Lisa Rinna was my lock screen on my phone. Yeah, Lisa Rinna is my lock screen on my phone. Were you doing cocaine in the bathroom? That is my lock screen of Lisa Rinna. But he was talking about music, and we were talking about LCD sound system. And back when I was a kid, Nirvana played the Arizona State Fair. I talk about this story because sometimes it's interesting. You know, all we have is our memories, right? But also, our memories can betray us at times. You remember things sometimes differently than when they were. Now, when I was a kid, I saw Nirvana, was lucky enough to see them in the In Utero tour. I remember me and my sister went, which was wild to think about. And in my head, the Ramones opened up for Nirvana that night. And he said, "Oh, yeah, I remember seeing Nirvana at Arizona State Fair." I was like, "I was there. Ramones opened up for them." And he's like, "No, Mudhoney opened up for them." And I was like, "What? What?" And I was trying to, and then I looked it up and he was right. And then I was like, "Where did I see the Ramones?" And it turns out I had seen the Ramones open up for Pearl Jam during their Vitology tour. And it shocked me for a second because this whole time I had always associated Nirvana with seeing the Ramones when it was actually Pearl Jam. But like, isn't it wild that sometimes we are just wrong in our memories? I don't know. For some reason, I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days since I found this out, and I was like, "Oh my God, what else am I completely wrong about?" Anyways, it was a great time, great bar, and only had a couple drinks, didn't get hungover. It was a perfect weekend, and now I'm here with my dad, Bill Bailey. He's going to come say hi on the podcast on Tuesday. We just had some Barrows pizza. If you're in Arizona, you know what I'm talking about. Some Barrows pizza and some wings. Just two men, just having some pizza, and now I'm here talking with you guys, which always very exciting. Okay, so. Two last things that I want to cover, and one of them is going to be Instagram and how important Instagram followings are in terms of celebrity, in terms of influencers, obviously. But let's take the Traitors, for example. I find these kind of statistics interesting because the Traitors' number one unscripted show on the air right now. I mean, as of last week. And you think like, well, why does it matter if somebody gets on this show? Well, because if they get on this show, they have this amazing opportunity to have so many new eyeballs on them that it really helps their career. Now, this is from an Instagram account called Pop Culture Data, and I love this. So, guess who the number one most followed person is once they were on the Traitors? This is how much they grew their account. Like Gabby Windy, who won the Traitors, her account grew. She got 279,710 new followers. 279,000 new followers just from being on the Traitors. And that's why every manager, agent in town is trying to get their reality person on the Traitors. Now, Dylan was the second person with the biggest biggest following growth. He has 225,648 new followers. After that, you got Carolyn Weiger. She gained 100,226 followers. Boston Rob. You would think, oh, Boston Rob's been on TV forever. How would he possibly keep growing? Well, he did. He added another 94,259 followers. Bob the Drag Queen, 55,541 new followers. Derek from Big Brother, 41,870 followers. Sierra from Summer House added 30,489 followers. Wes, 16,443 followers. Brittany Haynes, who was on this show a week and a half ago, she gained 12,121 followers. Bob H, 8,379. Dolores, 7,881. Danielle added 5,606 followers. Okay, so these were the players that had the biggest growth. Tom had very minimal growth on this show, Tom Sandoval. Oh, dude, I can't get more growth, dude. And also, there are anomalies in this. And I thought this was interesting is that the anomalies they found detected follower growth that is potentially suspicious in the fact that people might have bought Instagram followers. And the ones that they found suspicious was Nikki from the Nikki Bella, who was out like halfway through the show. Sam Ashgari, there was some speculation that there was an anomaly found there in their research. And Chriselle, there was an anomaly found there. And they're not saying for sure that they bought Instagram followers, but they did notice non-organic growth. And I just find this kind of fascinating. But like for somebody like Gabby, you're adding close to 300,000 followers. I mean, that's huge. That is, for somebody who has a career, that just means your price just went up, your brand deals, everything. Like people, companies want to see those kind of numbers. So that's why it's important for a show like The Traitors. It is so amazing to be able to get on that show. It can really just take you potentially to that next level. Okay, so after this short break, we will be right back and we will tell you what to watch this week. Okay, do you have your calendars out? This is a lot of TV. I don't know if we can handle it, but that's what DVRs are made for. Also, remember when TiVo existed? Man, I had a TiVo back in the day. Bloop, bloop, bloop. I still have dreams about the bloop, bloop, bloop of the TiVo remote. Man, TiVo, like they were the only DVR service, and now they do not exist really at all. But my God, how did they fumble that bag? Okay, so we have the obvious ones, and I guess we can potentially start with Bravo. Now, tonight, we had the season premiere of Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 16. Portia is back. We know Kenya Moore gets kicked off of this show at some point this season, but she will potentially, I would say, return. You had Married to Medicine on Sunday night. Now, on Bravo on Monday, you have Below Deck Down Under, episode 6 of that series. On Tuesday on Bravo, you have Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, episode 15. You also have the second episode of Denise Richards and Her Wild Things, which are you guys enjoying that? I watched a little bit of it. I got to finish the first episode, but I enjoyed it so far. I know there's a lot of guest cameo appearances from Kathy Hilton, Erica Jane, you know how it is. And on Watch What Happens Live that night, you got Dylan, you got Dorit, Gabby Wendy, and Dylan Efron. No, that can't be. They don't have 3 guests. I bet it's just Gabby and Dylan. Now, on Wednesday on Bravo, you have Summer House. Okay, you got the 5th episode of Summer House, which we do recaps on this show. I'm looking forward to that. And then on Thursday, you have the Southern Charm, episode 14. Southern Hospitality had its finale and its reunion this past Thursday. Catch up on that on Peacock. The reunion, these kids, man, they throw it all out there. I'm telling you. The reunion of Southern Hospitality, these are real emotions. Emmy, I think, is having a mental breakdown. If you watch the show, you know exactly what I mean. But wow, that cast is giving. It deserves more eyeballs on that show. Now, you also have on Bravo the season premiere, season 22 of Top Chef. If you're tired of housewives fighting and young kids fighting, Bravo also has a show about talented chefs that make art through food. Yes, Tom, how do you not love Tom Colicchio? Of course, we don't have Padma anymore, but man, I love Tom Colicchio so much. So I'm excited for Top Chef. That is just Bravo, folks. Yeah, that's just Bravo. There are so many other shows out there, and there are so many shows premiering this week. Tonight, Sunday night, American Idol Season 23 premiered. You can stream that on Hulu today. Of course, obviously on ABC. I dipped out on American Idol, I think, after season 10 or 11, but I will always remember that first season, the Kelly Clarkson, Justin Guarini season. I mean, you want to talk about some magic. Come on. And then remember, they forced them, I mean, kind of forced them. They did one of the biggest So Bad It's Good movies of all time, From Justin to Kelly. Remember, it was like the musical movie. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But they basically made the two, like the winner and the runner up, Kelly and Justin, do this movie. And it is worth a rewatch. You also have Naked and Afraid season 18. Now, Naked and Afraid, I feel like I live this episode every day in the shower, but Discovery Channel, 18 seasons of the actual show. On You have the reunion of Love is Blind that aired tonight. Now, I did not check out Love is Blind this season. I will catch back up with it on season 9, but yeah, it is over. The reunion, Nick and Vanessa Lachey hosted. So let me know if you dug that. Now, over on CNN, I thought this was interesting. They premiered a new 4-part docuseries called Twitter Breaking the Bird, which talks about the meteoric rise and eventual sale of the revolutionary app to obviously Elon Musk. So we also, over on HBO, you had the new episode of The White Lotus, which I'm going to watch right after I talk to you guys. I'm actually enjoying this season very much, and I think it's building to something. You know, they've got you invested in these characters, and then I think it's just going to explode pretty soon. You also have the final season premiere of The Righteous Gemstones, which I think is hysterical. I mean, everybody in that show, John Goodman, John Goodman actually over the weekend, he hurt his hip working on the new Tom Cruise movie, and they're having to pause production. And I'm like, Tom Cruise, you do all those crazy stunts yourself, but you do not hurt John Goodman. John Goodman is a national treasure, and if I find out you made this dude jump out of a plane and he threw his hip out because you did some crazy stunts are only for Tom Cruise, not for John Goodman. I'm hearing John Goodman's going to be okay, but they had to pause production. Now, over on Monday, you have a 3-episode new Netflix series, American Manhunt, Osama bin Laden, which talks about the hunting down of bin Laden and his, obviously the orchestrations of September 11th. Now, over on Lifetime, this I'm very excited about because if you've listened to the show, I was a huge fan of the first season. Gypsy Rose, Life After Lockup, season premiere of season 2. Gypsy Rose, obviously coming out of prison from participating in the unaliving of her mother. Well, she's pregnant now, and she was married in the first season. That marriage is donezo, and she is now with one of her boyfriend's kin that she had during prison. That's good television, folks. Vanderpump Rules could never. I mean, they could, but you know what I'm saying. Also on Lifetime, directly after Gypsy Rose, Lifetime is like, hey, move over the Baldwins on TLC, which is on Sunday nights. We have Confessions of Octomom. Now, you kids out there listening, you might not know Octomom, but it was this lady, Natalie Suleiman, that had 14 kids. She literally had 8 babies in her at one time, but she is a mom of 14, and now she's taking on a new role, and that is of grandmother. I don't know if I need to keep up with Octomom, but I just wanted to let you know that it's out there. Now, on Tuesday, over on Hulu, I'm interested to see this, obviously, because also The Baldwins is on TLC, which talks about Alec going to trial for the shooting on the set of Rust that unfortunately, he killed Helena Hutchins, Halyna. She was the cinematographer on this film. But Hulu has Last Take, Rust, and the story of Helena, and it takes us behind the scenes of that. So that's a Hulu documentary. Over on Paramount Plus, you have Tom Petty, Heartbreakers Beach Party, which was directed by Cameron Crowe for MTV. It never really made it to air. It ended up not liking it or something, but now they have brought it back. I'm a huge Tom Petty fan, so I want to check that out. Now on Wednesday on Netflix, they're dropping all 10 episodes of Temptation Island Season 9. right? Woo! Now, Amy Archer and Mary Payne Gilbert from Pink Shade, Amy Archer from Little Miss Recap, I believe they said they are recapping all 10 episodes of Temptation Island together. Netflix sent me these. I have not watched them yet. I've never watched Temptation Island, but maybe I'll start this season. But I wanted you to know that's going to be out there on Wednesday. Something I'm really excited about on Wednesday premieres on Netflix as well, and that's called Everybody's Live with John Mulaney. This is a live late night talk show. He did this during the Netflix is a Joke Fest festival last year, where he did a week of live shows. And I thought it was so interesting. It was such a different blend of guests and comedy bits. And I'm a big fan of what he did with that format because late night talk shows, you know, Johnny Carson to Letterman to Leno to Conan to Jimmy Fallon, you know, it became rote after a while. And I thought this was the first thing that I saw on Netflix where I was like, this is kind of breaking the format of your late night talk show. This is only once a week, unfortunately, not every day, but I can't wait to see what John Mulaney does. So that is 10 p.m. on Wednesday on Netflix. It's going to be live. Now on Thursday, we have the Flipping El Musas season 2 finale on HGTV. Flipping El Musas. That is what is like Tariq and all those people over there on HGTV. I'm not a big HGTV guy, but I hear this is pretty good. We'll see. I know Jeff Lewis, I think he guest starred on this show last week, if I'm not mistaken. So you have that, but remember on top of that, you also have Severance. You're going to have, I think this is episode 9 of Severance. You also have The Pit over on HBO Max with starring Noah Wyle, and this takes place all in one day. Each episode is a different hour of that day, and it is really, really good television, and I cannot wait to finish the episodes. But what I told you last week, I'm still only 2 episodes in. I finally started Paradise on Hulu, and it is awesome. It's Sterling K. Brown and James Marsden. I don't want to give anything away. I am preparing a Patreon episode. I did a road trip Patreon episode on Friday where I was driving and I did a Patreon episode of just what's going on in my mind. But tomorrow we're going to do a more in-depth Patreon about all of these shows that I'm not covering here, like Paradise. So that is over there for you to watch. And then what's really interesting, I want you to check this out. I got the screeners for these episodes, and I really love it. I think it's amazing. I think people are going to be talking about this show. It's another Apple TV show called The Studio. It is created by Seth Rogen and also stars Seth Rogen, but it also stars Catherine O'Hara, Catherine Hahn, Ike Barinholtz, and it is so flippin' funny, and it is kind of a send-up of the Hollywood studio system. And for geeks like us, it takes you behind the scenes, but it also is just funny, even if you're not into the making of film or like studio films. The jokes are just really solid. I think this is going to be a big, big hit. So I am very much looking forward to you guys watching The Studio. Now, obviously, also Yellow Jackets, the 3rd season is on right now, and unfortunately, I have still not even started my 3rd season Yellow Jackets journey. And that's why it's so important with television is that you make sure, I mean, it must be so hard. Like, first off, you got to congratulate anybody that makes anything on television, film, or even in life, because it's hard to make things. And I just felt that 2nd season just truly lost me in such a weird way that it is the last thing that I'm like, every time there's something else to watch before I watch Yellow Jackets, but I will watch it. Now, this account Real Good that polls like streaming services on what the most talked about and watched streaming shows are. And I thought this was an interesting list. Number 1 right now on their streaming charts for the week of February 27th, we're now, I believe, in March. Is that right? Yeah, we're in March. But for February 27th, Paradise was number 1. Severance was number 2. The White Lotus was number 3. Zero Day on Netflix was number 4. That stars Robert De Niro. Reacher has a new season over on Prime Video. That is number 5. Running Point with Kate Hudson, which I actually watched a couple episodes this weekend and I liked. That's over on Netflix. The Pit was number 7 over on Max. On Disney Plus, you have Daredevil, Born Again. I watched the Netflix iteration of Daredevil that they had years and years ago, and I liked it. Well, Daredevil is back over on Disney Plus. Number 9 was Yellow Jackets on Showtime and Paramount Plus, and then 10 on this list was 1923, which is Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren, and that takes place in the Yellowstone, not the multiverse, but just the Yellowstone extended universe. 1923. So that's over there. I think it also stars Brendan Sklenar, who was in It Ends With Us. And there's a rumor now this Brendan Sklenar might be playing Batman in not the Robert Pattinson Batman, but there's a different Batman that they're doing on at the same time, and he is rumored to potentially be in the running for Batman. So, wow. Also, in terms of Blake Lively and It Ends With Us, she was on the red carpet this past week promoting her new film. You Simple Favor, they have a sequel to it with her and Anna Kendrick, directed by Paul Feig, who did Bridesmaids. They did the premiere at South by Southwest in Austin, and, you know, she did the red carpet. It's wild, you know, like just acting like everything's gravy. I mean, the thing is, though, you make these products, you have to sell them. You know, a lot of people, if you do something, part of the gig in entertainment is you have to promote the thing that you do. Now, for Blake Lively, that's probably got to be a nightmare right now because we're all taking shots at her, or we're all waiting, looking at every movement, every facial reaction, every question, every answer. It's all being picked apart. Now, at its finest, you have somebody like Lady Gaga, who this weekend pulled double duty on Saturday Night Live, which Sophie and I talk about. Lady Gaga had a dream come true and got to meet Sheena Shea this weekend. If you saw the picture, you know what I'm talking about, but we talk about it in this episode. And I think that to me is promoting in the best way because there is such a love, I think, for Lady Gaga, rightfully so. But she's also funny as hell. She's funny as hell. And she's just, her musical performances, that the one song, the what is the new song it's called Killa. Killah. There is a breakdown element in that song on SNL this weekend where two people run up and like rip her clothes off and changes it to another costume, and then the groove gets back, and it's like it reminded me so much of like David Bowie, not necessarily even in the sound, even though it had a little bit of like the vibe of Young Americans, but it just reminded me of just like the artistry. Like Lady Gaga is a once in a lifetime artist. Her new album Mayhem just came out this past Friday. I highly recommend it. I listened to the full thing today and I loved it. And I loved seeing her on SNL. But to me, that's like great promotion because already people are wanting to support you. And then it's that perfect thing of hosting SNL on the week of your album release. Now, Saturday Night Live, I've been really fascinated with lately because of the 50th anniversary. I just read that Lorne Michaels book by Susan Morrison, which I loved. But I was watching this little clip about Saturday Night Live is NBC's most profitable show on air if you exclude live sporting events, right? If you exclude live sporting events, it is the most profitable show that they have. Now, they employ over 300 people on Saturday Night Live. And I believe that each episode costs upwards of $8 million, right? Which is a lot of money, but it makes up that money and even more. Saturday Night Live, in terms of just the younger demographic, which advertisers love to advertise to, it kills in that demographic. NBC needs Saturday Night Live. And there's a lot of speculation since Lorne Michaels is in his 80s when he's going to retire. And if he does, that budget will potentially be slashed because the only reason NBC approves of that budget is because Lorne Michaels has been there for 50 years at SNL and people are scared of him. Lorne Michaels is a very powerful man. And so the speculation is when and if he ever retires, who he hands it to. My vote personally is Tina Fey. I could also see a world in which he gives it to Colin Jost. Who knows who is going to take over SNL? But when they do, it'll be interesting because NBC and most business people ruin art. So that's like the funny thing. Like when you're watching something like I'd say in Yellow Jackets, it's that fight between commerce and art. Because at the end of the day, make no mistake, they are there to get our money. If you are watching one of the best seasons of Salt Lake City, that's amazing. But on top of it, they are selling you soap. That is what television was created for. So, corporations and suits and all of those people, they don't really sometimes have a creative mind. They don't want to take a risk. They know that they're going to get enough eyeballs. It doesn't need to be good. It just needs to be on the air. And with that, folks, we are going to have another quick break, and then we will be back with our start of our pop culture roundup with the one, the only, Sophie Ross Brooks. I hope you have the best Monday ever. Come check me out over there on Patreon. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys on Tuesday. Bye.